Well, 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 lords and ladies. Today is the 28th of October in the year of our Lord 2024, and the embargoes have been lifted for all the people that got early review codes for Dragon Age: The Veilguard. And although I think my predictions have been largely correct, I did get a few wrong. And I mean that in the best sense. Of course, I'm not infallible, I make mistakes. But shockingly, despite my predictions that all the reviews would be positive, two major players with large channels, namely Skill Up and Mr. Matty Plays, gave very disappointing, very critical reviews. Everyone else I've checked out, and I've checked out a number of them, has given positive reviews, so no surprise there. And this, of course, was the intention of EA/BioWare. Earlier today, Effects Your Life posted a video indicating what happened with him. He was not given review codes, and he made the correct prediction that the majority, if not vast majority, of the videos that you see now that are reviews would be positive. And that's fair enough. That's an EA business strategy. There were some things that were predictable and disappointing. I'm not going to lie. I was disappointed with Lord Mortissimal's review. Extremely milquetoast. He called it his personal game of the year and the best Dragon Age title in the series. It's entirely possible that he's sincere about that, but there's no real way to know because of the incentive structure that exists for people who got early access to the reviews. Not even the greatest of BioWare's acolytes, and there's a specific one I can think of right now, called this the greatest Dragon Age title in the series. So, it's been a mixed bag, but largely as I predicted, very positive. Having looked at a lot of the footage, having seen a lot of the dialogue, it doesn't look good though. It really doesn't. The dialogue looks really goofy. A lot of what's come to be called millennial writing, attempts at being witty and throwing out little jibes and jabs there, but it's ultimately not very funny. And according to Skill Up, you basically have no real agency as a player, as Rook, per se. There's no real tension, and the game just isn't scary. The end of the world is upon you, and it's like Ocean's 11. At least that was my interpretation based off Skill Up's review, and of course Mr. Matty's review, which expressed a much greater deal of emotional disappointment because he was much more invested in the series and in BioWare. So, it doesn't look good visually. From what we know based off of the reviews, the dialogue is really bad, the writing is quite poor, the combat, which in some way I thought would have been the saving grace in the sense that, okay, put aside the fact that it's not tactical RPG combat, maybe at least with their action God of War style combat, it would at least be fun, right? But again, according to Skill Up, he says the combat is boring, it gets repetitious, and he eventually turned it down to the lowest setting, not because it was hard, but because he couldn't deal with it anymore. So it seems that at the end of the day, many of my predictions were correct, and even my interpretation of what I had seen in terms of the footage, the previews, as well as the reviews, turned out to be correct. It seems, quite literally, that the best thing about this game is the environments. The environments look very good. The characters still look like Play-Doh. They went for this weird cartoony look. Several reviewers mentioned this, and they don't really match the environment. And according to several reviewers, chief among them Skill Up, the only part of the game where the game really picks up, that seems to be good and have momentum, is roughly the last 2 hours. Up until then, it is a slog, according to these sources. Given the fact that most of the reviews have been positive, and most of these reviews have been incentivized by access journalism and early access, as I've said many times, wait until the actual players who have not had access early play the game. A variety of channels, not just mine obviously, check them out, and if you're on the fence you can listen to different people give their takes. Now, regarding my plans for Dragon Age: The Veilguard, I plan on playing the game on the day of release, like everybody else, that is the 31st of October, in the year of our Lord, and I will play the game and beat the game, that's my intention. On the weekend I plan on dropping a overview video or an impressions video, just to give you a sense of what I think, and eventually, when I can find the time between real life and other obligations, hopefully not in the too distant future, I will put out a full review of the game, giving my impressions, my opinions, my takes. I'm trying to be positive going into it, but it's very, very difficult. And I think, based on what we've seen so far, this does not bode well for BioWare. If the game only sells decently well, that will not be enough. As I mentioned in a previous video, the fate of Mass Effect depends on the fate of Dragon Age: The Veilguard. But here's some intuitions I have, generally speaking, going forward with BioWare. If the writing was as millennial-esque, bad, cheesy, corny, just plain poor, in terms of the quality, when it comes to Dragon Age: The Veilguard, do you really expect the writing for the forthcoming Mass Effect title to be any better? I think we've reached a point in time, a juncture, lords and ladies, where we simply have to confess to ourselves and the world that the old BioWare is officially gone. And by old BioWare, I mean the people that made high-quality RPGs that could write characters well, that could be witty when it was necessary, but also people who could write serious, earnest material, dark material when it was appropriate, and make it all come out very well. That time appears to be over. We have a number of reviews confirming this, and as I said in that video about Mass Effect, make your peace with Mass Effect, make your peace with BioWare, and the good news is, there are other companies and developers that make excellent RPGs and CRPGs. BioWare was a legend for its time, and we remember these titles. Knights of the Old Republic, Dragon Age Origins, Mass Effect, the original Baldur's Gate, and Baldur's Gate 2. But all things change, and even Goliath can be felled, and this is what we're seeing. Now, if we can get over BioWare and move forward, we can look at a number of other studios that either have produced excellent games or have the potential. First and foremost, chief among them, obviously, is Larian. I think Larian has set a gold standard in many ways with Baldur's Gate 3. Expect whatever they're doing to be very good. I think they've earned consumer trust for a variety of reasons. Then you have Owlcat Games, which I understand is not necessarily the typical type of game that a lot of BioWare fans play, but I would strongly urge you to try them out. Pathfinder Kingmaker, Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous, Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader, and in the future they're going to be producing other games. I think the core of Obsidian still has the right stuff to make good games, and I'm very much looking forward to Avowed, coming out in February of next year, although I'm very biased because I just like that universe quite a bit. But regardless, even without that bias, I think it would be a good game. And two studios to be on the lookout for going forward is Archetype Entertainment, and they're working on Exodus, which I cover extensively on this channel. I will continue to cover that game. I am cautiously optimistic about Exodus. From what I've seen of that game, it's been largely positive. And then Rebel Wolves, they're working on Dawnwalker, a vampire fantasy game. But we don't really know much about that. My point here is that although BioWare has fallen, officially you could say, and their games are probably never going to be of the same quality as they used to be, there are other studios out there, and there are other things to look forward to in terms of CRPGs and RPGs. And that's pretty much what I have to say. As I've already stated, I will play Dragon Age: The Veilguard from start to finish. I will give my impressions, and I will give a comprehensive review when I'm done with the game, but until then, we just have to see, right? Anyway, do let me know what you think based on what you've seen in the review videos, because a lot of it is very telling, and I'm keenly interested in what you have to say and think. And as always, if you like my videos, and you like my takes, you can leave a like, comment, share, and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. It's much appreciated. Until the next time, take care.